So I've had back-to-back green weeks. I'm hoping for March to be a green month. I'm pretty sure it will be. I can't see why not. And I always have to reflect. And the most important thing I want to say is look at your progress 6 months by 6 months. The last 6 months are the best 6 months I've ever had trading by an absolute mile. 4 out of 6 months were green. Profitable. Fine, I got incomplacent, but I went from losing all the time to winning quite consistently, but my risk reward was not quite there. I was taking I was risking $600-700 to only make $150 sometimes. Whereas now my winning percentage is up there in the 65%, but I'm never really risking more than 100 to make 100, 200, 300. And the percentage gains I'm taking profit from compared to what I'm risking is significantly different. So it's been tough, and it's always been a few different phases. You go from the phase of losing all the time to making money, but you're making some big mistakes, and you've got some big flaws in your strategy still, to where I'm at now, where the calculations kind of all make sense. I'm risking 100 to make 300. I'm spotting the right opportunities. They're all based on data. It all makes sense. And I feel very good about things. I feel very good about this year. Overall profitable last year. I think I'll be overall profitable this year. Thank you to everyone who supported the Steady Trade podcast. The last few days have been fucking booming. It's like crossing 100,000 downloads in a month, which is just ridiculous. So thank you so much. Live the dream. You guys have been instrumental. I know I've been instrumental in changing my own life, but in the last 2 years, from the very first videos, you guys have been instrumental in building my confidence as a person, making me feel satisfied with an output of content that I produce, and just making some great friends. John, Jeff Yoko, I cannot forget this guy's name, Roscoe. I'm really appreciative for you guys, and of course, let's not forget Touche, because he'll be sad. Live the dream. What's up, bitches? So yeah, I had the crazy loss at the beginning of the month, which sucked, but since I've put in together back-to-back green weeks, I'm short AKAR, and I'm up about 3-4-5% on it, so that should put me onto 3 green weeks. And I always say to you guys, you've got to look at things like in a bigger perspective, like a 6-month perspective. So if you look from June to June, I had 1 green month in a year. And then and that was just lucky on 1 trade. I was barely trading. I made 8 trades that month. I was just lucky, and for the whole year it was pretty much red. But if you look at kind of the 6 months after that, July to December, it was kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 6 green months. And then obviously January and February have been red, which is a kick in the teeth because I was on a kind of a high horse. But learning from mistakes and tracking data and staying disciplined, there's no reason why I can't have another 4 green months in March, April, May, and June or whatever. And then all of a sudden, last year compared to the first 12 months compared to the second 12 months show drastic improvement. And then if you think, well, if I can make this improvement on a year-on-year basis, what improvement can I make on a 5-year basis? And then you start thinking, yeah, for sure it's possible to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, but no, it's not fucking easy. It takes a couple of years just to get any consistency. I mean, I have got some degree of consistency compared to complete inconsistency, but I really need to put in a few green months now, which I'm sure I will, because my head's very screwed on trading. Tracking some good data on gap downs and gap and craps. Some very interesting results, which are shaping the way I trade now. I trade very much based on data rather than, and this is the gap and craps, rather than intuition. And since I've been doing this, I've found my winning percentage up in the 64%. It's the highest it's ever been, bar September, when I only made 17 trades. Granted, I only made 14 in Feb, so my winning percentage is almost the highest it's ever been, and I'm not taking losses of more than $100 ever. So the risk-reward ratio of the trades I'm getting in and cutting losses and my winning percent all align up for big things. In the future, I just need to size up a bit more. We need the market to heat up a little bit more. Okay, get in my belly. This is a pretty simple one. Market's been pretty quiet, but this was probably by far me on one of my few trades, but definitely the best one. And it's funny because it kind of came out of nowhere, because CVRS on a, let's say maybe go back 2 years, it's kind of choppy. It's down in the ones, then it's down in the two, up in the twos, then it's back down in the ones. It's a very choppy chart. It doesn't have any real history of kind of gapping up and failing before. So there's no real indicator. But keeping that in mind, what I particularly liked about it was that it was kind of gapping up 50, 40, 50%. And then when it's gapping up 50%, that really gives a lot of value for the stock to come back down again. And so that was kind of one thing that got me interested. And then if we just look at the data that I've been tracking, gapping crap stocks gapping up over 50%, 67% of them generally fail, and only 11% hold. But out of those 11%, if you catch them pre-market early, you can still make good money on them. So really, it's only about, you've got a good 4-to-1 odds. 80% of the time you're likely to win here. So based on that information, I was thinking, well, look, it's high float, light volume, it's up 50%. I was just literally wanting kind of one more indicator, and I kind of got that when it double topped here, pre-market, and then it just didn't have any bounce in it around 8:30. So I waited for it a little bit more, and no real volume or bounce game, so I was immediately in short in the 138s. And as it failed, that was the final confirmation to just hold it, because this stock's coming all the way back down. And I was pretty good to hold it all the way down to the 122s as out some, and then I got out the rest 118, not far off the dead top and the dead bottom. So it was a very, very good trade, not a huge size, but a very big percentage win of like maybe 14, 15, 16%. I need to work it out. But it just comes with experience and practice. Normally I'd be like, take 5% at 15%, but now I'm taking kind of 12 or 14 or 15 or 16% of a 18, 19, 20% overall move. So I really haven't taken that many trades. This week there hasn't been a lot. AKER is just a biotech. It's general long-term chart. It was up in the 3s about a year ago. Now it's got as low as 12 cents. You don't need to read into the SEC filings to know it's a failing company. It does have these kind of runs of a couple of days and comes down, and then a couple of days and comes down. And I was initially looking at it as a stock up 2 days gapping down, but it didn't actually quite gap down. But nevertheless, when I was looking at it and I saw this kind of morning washout, and it was really failing in 2 key places for me. It was failing red-green, and it was coming into kind of all of this resistance that you can see. There's a ton of like resistance where it's supported here, then it's been resistance here, broke through it briefly, then fell, and then it was resistance here and here again, then it was support. So this for me is a very key level, and it's obviously where it failed again. It opened and couldn't kind of break through this level. And it was a little bit as well. I mean, on some of the data that I track, this is for gap downs, so it's a little bit outside of the criteria. But generally, with stocks that gap down, the vast majority of them will either fail at resistance or fail on the red-green move. More than nearly 60% of them will fail in these areas. More than 60%, I think. So when it's hitting both a red-green area and a resistance point, then I was happy to short. I was short from. I was pretty much shorting at around 54, and when it started to get toppy, and I've held it. I was up about 8-9% by about here when I was bottoming in the 48s. But I've held it. One, because I'm under PDT and I don't want to waste trades, and two, because I'm tracking data on stocks that gap down and what did they do the next day. And it seems that, I mean, I'm looking at the data now, it's like 37% have a big red day the next day, 25% have a smaller red day, and only 12% have a small green day, leaving 25% to have a big green day. But obviously, I'm going to look for a gap down on Monday, and a couple of you guys will be like, last time you shorted a stock over the weekend, look what happened. It's like, I do have a rule where I will never ever hold a short if I'm down on it. Ever. Probably ever again. But because I'm up on it, because the data suggests that it's more than likely to have another big red day, because it looks just like a manipulated piece of shit up from the 20 cents, then I'm going to give this a shot to have another day. I mean, look, just back in February, after it had a red day, it really gapped down, and it did have a kind of a small green day, but really you could be taking profits 34, 35 instead of taking profits in the 40s. So hopefully there's another 7-8% on the table. Look, it's me again, in the same spot, in the same place, but you will see these fat cheeks get progressively skinnier as I go on a fucking diet, and I mean it this time. I'm lacking discipline. Dieting. But this song by Maximo Park, You'll See Me Get Skinnier, is a fucking beauty, and gets so moved by music all of the time. And the reason I get so moved by music is because there's a musician who played the drums and guitar. I know how many hours go into practicing the intricacies for the bigger picture to come together and to be fucking brilliant. In one musician, Ed Sheridan, aka Ed Sheeran, who some people don't like, and many other successful people have talked about a 10,000 hours rule. So I was like, well, I'll work out my 10,000 hours. How many have I done? Because I've been training about a bit over a year and a half, so I mean, say, well actually no, it was from June, so June to June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. So that's 12, 18, 20 months. So 20 months, each day's roughly got 30 days in them. Just got a phone here. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's 600 days. And I would say I went mental in the first early days of doing like, I was doing like 10 hours a day. Now I do, between watching the market and studying and tracking Excel, I would say I probably averaged about 4 hours a day. Maybe, yeah, probably 4 hours a day. Because a couple hours watching the market, sometimes 5, 6, 7 hours watching the market, 5, 6 hours. And I'll do a couple hours either side studying generally. But we'll say 4 to 5 to be conservative. So 600 days times, say, 4.5 hours is 2,700 hours. So with 2,700 hours of studying, I would say that I'm a quarter of the way through and I'm already finding good consistency and good results. So my question is, how many hours have you put in to get successful? Once I'm about 10,000 hours in, I have no doubt I'll be killing this. Type in the number of hours you've done once you've made the calculation. Live the dream. We will not fail. Honestly, in a year and a half, have you ever seen me miss anything? Have you seen anything but fucking constant improvement? That's what I'm talking about. I'll be with you every step of the way. Live the dream.